Andrews.
Here.
And we'll mark Moden and Schrader absent.
All right, thank you. Proof of public meeting notice, Aaron.
Yep, proof of public notice was posted at both schools, sent to Village of Dickeyville and Cuba City Hall, and sent to members of the local media on Tuesday, July 26th.
All right, thank you. We're going to skip in the agenda to personnel
Item D.
to item D because Sarah has to leave for the baseball banquet and we would not have a quorum to vote on this. So
And technically Chuck could vote on this, but he's asked not to just because Chris is his son-in-law. So we could, but we just feel more comfortable doing it this way.
Nobody can complain then.
So the item is to approve the hiring of Mr. Chris Sander as the middle and high school principal. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Chris Sander as the new middle and high school principal as presented.
Is there a second? I will second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poles abstaining. Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All righty.
All right,
Sarah.
Sarah, enjoy the baseball game.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All righty, we'll go back.
Yep.
To item 3, the consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through H that you would like to hold for further discussion?
All liquidated damage checks were received, so we can move on all these.
Hearing none, would someone?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pole.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And item 4, administrative reports, special ed, we're going to skip because I guess Deb's started her vacation today. So we will go to Chris for the middle and high school report.
Mr. Hadfield, and he's here tonight. Several high school students paired with John and Bridget Wilson, owners of Hometown Pharmacy, to create a mural on the side of the business's building. The team of painters worked every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the month of June, beginning of July, to create a wonderful mural. And Mr. Hadfield noted that it was the largest that he's ever had the opportunity to lead, measuring in at 50 feet. So, Ms. Van Scandal, students have been busy now that we're in the season of showing livestock at various fairs. Ava Livefried is going to be a senior this fall, took part in a contest of selling livestock at Junior Nationals in Kansas City, Missouri. She took 3rd place. John Wackershauser, Peyton Van Scandal, and Morgan Van Scandal also participated in Junior Nationals with various showings. I actually went down to the Lafayette County Fair and watched some of the students show sheep and lamb, and we had several students winning animals. I know Morgan Van Scandal, I believe, had the grand champion lamb, so it was pretty interesting to see. We also had students there that showed swine and beef, but those were different days, so I didn't make the 3-day trip. Ms. Merwin is also here tonight. She had some students competing at the CCLA national competition in San Diego, and I believe they took silver medals. I'll let them share a little more. Ms. Timmerman, Ms. Spielvogel, and Ms. Joel accompanied students on a 10-day tour of Spain, and from the pictures it looked like they had great weather and a wonderful time. We're hoping to get them here at another board meeting in the future to share about that. Want to welcome Mr. Max Cundy as our new science and Spanish teacher, Miss Angela Davis as our new guidance counselor, Miss Alexandria McClellan as our new middle school math teacher, and Miss Angela Belkin as our middle school social emotional support counselor. All of the asbestos tiles have been removed in the hallway and the classrooms on the west wing of the school just outside here. And the new floor has actually been installed. The classrooms are actually ready to go. And starting tomorrow, they're going to be working on waxing the hallway. And by next Monday, it'll all be done. And I just wanted to shout out to the custodial crew for amazing work. The school looks great.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions of him? All righty. Troy, the elementary report.
Before we move on, were we going to have the FCCLA?
That's on
students
next.
speak? Oh,
It's on
excuse
next.
me,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Fairly quiet at the elementary school. We call it the calm before the storm, I guess, as
as the kids will be here before we know it. Recently completed summer school. It was a great program. I mean, kids had a lot of great opportunities. I know I saw them making s'mores with their ovens, sun ovens that they made in STEM class. There's some egg drops, suspension bridges to check weight. Teachers did a fantastic job at making it a positive experience, and it was over 200 kids. I think the biggest we've ever had, I've been told, for our summer school program. Teachers this week and last week have been participating in some professional development activities. Some speakers from outside, but also some of our own teachers sharing some new ideas and information for the staff heading into next year. And to kind of follow Chris, our cleaning crew, is at the elementary school now, doing a great job. And like I said, I'll have the school ready for the students in just over a month. That's it.
Thank you, Troy, for you and the staff for providing summer school opportunity. I know that was something that I think, was it 3 years ago, was the first year we had done so, and so I appreciate that,
Thank you.
Anything for him? Or any other business report?
Just an update on the 21-22 budget. So that fiscal year is officially over and we have paid all bills that I'm aware of. The auditors are coming in next week, so we can't officially close that fiscal year on our financial system until we get sign off from the auditors. And then I will be providing an update to the Budget and Finance Committee in August or September on how we ended the year. I'm continuing to work on fiscal year end tasks, still assisting with interviews for open positions, as well as getting those new hires through our onboarding process. Earlier this month, I submitted the district's 21-22 transportation report to DPI, and that report determines the transportation aid that the district will get then the following year. I'm spending lots of time preparing for the 2-day audit next week. And this year, there's a big focus on special ed and transportation. We will be having another single audit this year, just like we did last year, and that has to do with the federal dollars that we received, mostly due to ESSER and because of the food service aid that we're getting with lunches being free and breakfast, I guess, meals. And then beginning next week, Mr. Olson and I will spend a couple hours each week scrubbing the 22-23 budget. And, our goal is to present a balanced budget in October. And every time there's a staffing change, then the budget also has to be adjusted. And it's not just in one place, it's in like 7 different lines for every one person. So it's a very detailed, lengthy process. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions of her? All right, Aaron, superintendent report.
Yep, since our last meeting in June, where I shared we would look into a U.S. Cellular cell tower agreement. You guys said, yeah, go ahead, look into it. We looked into that. And after looking into the side effects that have been studied and found, mostly headaches and nausea for people within 1,000 and 1,500 feet, we are no longer, I contacted US Cellular and said we are no longer interested in that, as we have a lot of student, staff, and our neighbors within 1,500 feet. And so we are no longer looking into that at all. St. Rose Parochial School is currently struggling to find 7th and 8th grade teachers, and informed us that they may attempt to keep those grades, but they may not be able to fill them. And with all the staffing changes in the state and education, that's certainly understandable, as a lot of schools find themselves in that situation. But we wanted to be prepared. So our administrative team has identified, if we get a large influx of students from St. Rose in middle school, and we considered a large influx, 10 students was kind of our number, we will do the following. We'll move our 6th graders to the round school. We have 2 available classrooms down there, and they can have Phi-Ed, music, and art in the existing schedule without adding anything to those teachers' contract, not like an overload schedule. So that would be we'd be able to do that. We would likely have to hire 2 teachers for 6th grade because we would keep all 7th and 8th grade students up here, and we would go from 2 sections to 3 sections. So there would be 3 sections of math, 3 sections of ELA, and then 3 sections of science and social studies at both 7th and 8th grade. And there would be no staffing changes at the middle school. Right now, our middle school teachers teach 1 full grade and half of 7th. So if they teach all 6th grade, half of 7th, and then like Chris, when he taught math, taught all 8th grade and half of 7th, and then Miss Demmer, now Miss Nelson, would teach the other half of 7th and all 6th. So when we move and put 6th grade back down to the elementary, that would mean we now have a 7th grade math teacher and an 8th grade math teacher, and the number of minutes that they're teaching is exactly the same. So if we do get 10 students, and that's kind of what we consider to be that offsetting number, and we get roughly $11,000 per student, we believe that over the course, it would take 3 years to get to that point, but another 10 students would cover the cost of those 2 6th grade teachers. Now, the way state funding works with enrollment is if we get those 10 kids year 1, we're reimbursed 1/3 of that because it's a 3-year rolling average. So year 2, we'd recuperate 2/3 of that. Year 3, we'd get 100% of that. So just know that would be another item that would be read on the budget report. But if we get that many kids, right now we currently have about 65 students in 8th grade. We can't get another 10 8th grade students and have 2 sections that are that big. But we can have 3 sections and students in 7th and 8th grade, then we'd have class sizes from 20 to 24. So somewhere around there. So that's what we would do. That's what we would do with 6th grade, and that would work. Our goal is by August 1st to have schedules ready in case that happens. St. Rose, obviously, they want to keep all their schools. They want to keep their grade level. They want to do everything they possibly can in order to keep those kids there. I've asked, do you know when you're going to make this decision? They're going to make it as soon as they can, as soon as they feel comfortable. So we're going to be prepared just in case. So any questions about that specifically? Because I'm sure that some of you probably have been asked questions. We get asked questions all the time, like we know and have inside information. We do not. We're just preparing for what if.
Okay. I know I told Aaron that HGIC's got the same problem. So they don't have a 7th and 8th grade teacher for math and science either. And that wasn't including, it was even in the Holy Ghost brochure for Mass Week. It was Saturday. So Dodgeville's looking for a science teacher for freshmen. So, it's a challenge. So anything else?
Yep. Otherwise, our administrative team keeps meeting every Wednesday, and we're kind of checking off things that we've got to get done in the summer. We started our new principal onboarding process, meeting weekly with both of our new principals to make sure that we get off on the right foot and that everybody's prepared for the 22-23 school year. That's it.
Any questions of Aaron? All right, public recognition. We're going to start with the high school art students and Mr. Hetfield.
So I have 3 of the students with tonight out of 6. I originally started with a team of 10, but I ended up with 6 students that kind of jumped on, wanting to help out with that opportunity. I would say it was definitely a big challenge. There were a lot of really hot days that we worked on things. It came together pretty quickly. We used a lot of things like spray paint and wall paint. A lot of the students had never even used spray paints before, so definitely wanted to allow them to have that opportunity as well. Anything that you 3 might want to add that you enjoyed about the experience?
Something different. I've never painted a mural before, never used spray paint before, so that was fun. It was just different, so it was fun.
I think the age range we had was pretty cool. Like, I didn't really talk to many of the freshmen or sophomores that did come, and I actually talked to them and got to know their names and everything. So I think that was pretty cool, especially knowing there's different kids at each level that are now learning how to use certain things, especially for a mural at such a young age for the art club. So I thought that was really cool.
It was really great while we were working on things. All the positive comments that we had from people coming in and out of the pharmacy was always really helpful. And the Wilsons have exclaimed their thoughts and thanks for everything, but also they've gotten, of course, lots and lots of comments on it. So, any questions for us?
It looks great though.
Awesome job. I mean, it's, I can't even draw a good stick figure, so I can't imagine pulling off a 50-foot mural, and just that planning and how you coordinated everything was amazing. So thank you.
I love the different pictures of like different days, and the process of it was really neat for somebody who's never done a mural too, to see all the steps that went into it on Facebook. It was really neat.
And I walked by with my 3-year-old several days, and she thought you were just like the coolest people she had ever seen. We have to drive past it every day when we drive home from grandma's.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the FCCLA students, Mrs. Merlin.
So we went to San Diego for National FCCLA the end of June until July 3rd. And Cassidy and Lexi were able to compete. And I'll let Cassidy tell you about her competition. I'll give her silver medallion.
So our competition, was competing against, like, the room was full of tables of kids from all over the states, from all the way from Maine, all the way down to Texas, all the way going to Hawaii. And it was pretty cool just like meet everybody too, because when am I gonna meet someone that is in Hawaii, in Wisconsin usually? Because when we walked in, we were like kind of scared that our event, we're from little Wisconsin, we're from little Cuba City, and we have this one event that's going to California. And we walked in and we were like, how did our event that was just talking about different cultures, that we're just trying to get diversity around in a small town, get us all the way to California on a plane? And I'd say it was pretty cool. Like, it was definitely an experience, and it was definitely like a good one, especially to go as like team members and as a club, because yeah, you can go on vacation, but it's not the same when you actually earn something for something that you thought would just be, oh, I'm doing this for the day at school, or this is like a career day for me. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. So
Morgan, did you want to say anything?
Okay, yeah. So I was the extra. I was not in the event, but I was able to go, and we went to call them leadership sessions, and we learned about like different opportunities that we could have, or a class that we could join for leadership opportunities this school year. And I think it gave us lots of good ideas. And we also got to do some team bonding, I guess you could call it. We went to the beach, and some of us went to the zoo for a day. So that was nice.
good.
Anything else?
It was pretty fun, I'd say.
You've had a good summer then.
Yeah, it was pretty good, I'd say.
Thank you guys, and
Thank you,
congratulations.
Nancy.
And thank you for supporting our trip.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for providing that opportunity for us.
At this time, you guys are more than welcome to stay, but we understand you came for that part of the meeting. If you'd like to leave now, we certainly understand.
And there was no one signed up for public recognition, so we'll move to new business. A is approve the academic standards for all content areas for the 22-23 school year.
Yep, we do this every July, and you've heard from our curriculum teams throughout the year on what we're doing, and we are constantly updating all of those. And every July, we have to adopt standards, so we do this every year.
Would someone move if there's no questions?
I'll move to approve the academic standards for all content areas for the 22-23 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve the first semester student teachers for the 22-23 school year.
Yep, this year, we always have student teachers, but this year we have that Grow Your Own program where we're paying them a small stipend. So I think every semester I'll probably bring those to you just because we are paying them. It's not enough that says we have to bring it to the board. I just want to make sure that you guys know that we do have some. This year we have either 4 or 5. We're hoping to get 8 next semester, one at each grade level if we can. But by the time we adopted this and approved this, a lot of the placements were done last spring. So hopefully we can get, like in September or October, we can start to get second semester taken care of, because we work with all 4 of the universities, the local universities, Platteville, Clark, UD, and Loras.
Thank you for providing that opportunity, and I will move to approve the first semester student teachers for the 22-23 school year as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the change in technology fee.
This is actually something that we talked about 2 years ago, but we deferred it because the biggest technology fee that we found was cracked Chromebook screens. We had enough of our older devices that no longer worked that we could swap them out. And we just said, okay, as soon as we get to the point where we can no longer swap those out, we're going to institute the technology fee. We didn't have to do it the last 2 years, so we didn't. But now we're at the end of all those. And so now our technology team is saying, okay, now we should institute what we came up with a couple of years ago.
Is there any questions regarding that? Would someone move?
I'll move to approve change in technology fee as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D is approve the changes in the district extra duty schedule.
Yep, you'll see 3 changes in there. One is a change to middle school AD. We had 3 people express interest. All 3 of them said with what we have to do, and now especially since we added middle school football, all of them said, no, we're not doing that. So basically we kind of took each cell times it by 1.5 and have those new cells. So you'll see that for middle school AD. We're hoping that gets somebody to jump. We are talking with one quasi-interested staff member, and tomorrow we hope to give them a call and say, hey, this is the new deal if you'd like to do that. The next one is an Edmentum coordinator. Christina Brewer has been our Edmentum coordinator for the last 2 years. We had been conversations with, based on how many hours that is, should we add that to the extra duty pay? So this is something I want to bring up to everybody and let you know. I met with Edmentum today and said, now, if we can't find anybody who wants to be the coordinator, do you provide that service for us? And they said yes. And so I got the presentation today this afternoon on what it looks like. Currently, this is our system. We've got about 11 kids signed up, 612. Mrs. Brewer would schedule a time to check in with them weekly, usually via Zoom, see if they had any questions. If they had questions, Mrs. Brewer would sign them. It would let the teacher know, like if they were in algebra, they would let Mr. Derby know, hey, the student has a question about these. Mr. Derby would reach out and set up a time to do with that. But that might be a few days. Edmentum is free for us because we're part of CISA 3. Now, if we go with the Edmentum, it's no longer free, and it's about $2,400 per student. So it's going to cost, and we have 11 kids, so it's roughly $24,000. However, they have 1,000 Edmentum virtual online teachers, and when a child is taking that algebra class and has a question on something and doesn't get it, there's an icon by the video, connect to a live teacher for all those classes. So if we're looking strictly financially, doing Edmentum and going with an Edmentum coordinator is the better financial plan. I got to tell you, I think in general, we do things what's best for kids. If we've got 11 of our students who are doing Edmentum, I believe going with Edmentum directly and having a live teacher in the moment when the kid has the question is the better way to go, even though it's going to be more expensive. I think it's better for our Cuba City students. And it takes one more thing off our teachers' plates. They don't have to reach out to those Edmentum kids during their prep time or before or after school. So looking at this is what we kind of came up with because Christina was interested in this. So we looked into it. When she backed out, I thought, okay, we got to look at it something different. So I guess when we make this motion, I want to hear your thoughts. Do we go with an Edmentum coordinator, which is the more fiscally appropriate, or do we go with, in my opinion, what's best for the kid and pay more for that? So now remember, if we don't have Edmentum at all, they go to McFarland Online School. So we get $11,000 from the state and we send 8,000 of that right to McFarland for open enrollment. Where if we can keep them here as our students and they can still be a part of our activities and things. Yep, we do have to pay $2,400, but they've got access to a live teacher from 8 to 5 on normal school days. I just think that's a better service for our kids.
Is the $2,400 to provide the live teacher support?
It's all teacher support. So they get all the lessons, they get check-ins. So they take care of the scheduling. Like right now, we do a lot of the scheduling and the setup.
Okay.
We just give them, here's the name and here's the email address, and that's the responsibility for our school is done, and now it's on them.
Okay, so it's because we get so many spots free because of being in CSA.
Yep. But that's
Today.
It's still good for that though, because we've got some students who have a full schedule and who might want to take one class, but it doesn't fit in their schedule. But maybe they want to take it 9th hour, and we can take that free through Admentum through CSA. They just want to take one class. We still have those that we would provide for free.
Okay.
So we're still getting something out of that. It's a Library 21 program.
Yeah.
We would still, and we probably have 5 or 6 students last year that took 1 or 2 courses out of that. So we'd still get that advantage.
Okay. All right.
Do you guys have any questions about that, about having the way we've run it versus the way Admentum does?
Then Mrs. Brewer would have that task anymore to do.
She would not. Nope. She'd just stick to 4th grade teachers, which is what she wants to do.
Because at this point, you really don't have anybody. You'd still have to go find
You
somebody.
have to find somebody and trade, like Christina knew that front and back. We'd have to get somebody caught up pretty quick, which would be difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
And we could do that, but I'm just looking at overall what's best for our kids. I think having that live support is worth it.
I agree, because when you said it could be a few days, I think the continuity of the education or the quality is going to suffer.
Yeah.
Even if you found a very capable person.
So we can kind of strike that number 2 Admentum coordinator.
That's my 3 cents. I don't know what the rest of you think.
I'd agree with that. It's
Yeah.
worth the investment to give the higher quality and the better response time.
I think it's better for our kids.
Okay.
And then the other one is the designated emergency response person. Right now, I think they get a stipend, maybe $400 for being that person to call in case there's a medical emergency, something's cut, or there's somebody passed out in class. This year, we just seem to have a lot more of those, and the CCEA brought up in one of my meetings with them is there any way we could have like a per stipend, like a $20 per stipend event for that? Because, and it was, Chris was one of those people, and Melissa in the high school was one of those people. They would often come up and they're with those kids for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, but then they're staying later after school to get caught up on what they didn't get done. So we just thought that would be fair to add a stipend for each time they were called. And so I think I'd like to add that to the extra duty schedule.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I will move to approve the changes in the district extra duty schedule, which would include numbers 1 and 3.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
Henderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approve next month's regular meeting date and time.
I think we're all good for Wednesday, August 17th. Eileen just said, why don't you just add this every month, just add it on there in case there's something that is going to pull 2 or 3 people away. So I haven't had anybody say August 17th, so we're going to go with the 17th. All right, so we'll keep it. That would be to approve next week's regular meeting time as Wednesday, August 17th at 6:30.
I'm probably the only one that might have trouble. I have to go to O'Hare to get my son and daughter-in-law, so I either will be late or may not make it.
Okay. Do you want to make it 7:30? Would that help?
I don't know what that. What? Well, we're in the agenda here. Could we make it 7? Is
Yep,
that
we can make it anytime. Anytime.
7?
7 o'clock?
All right, thank you.
So there's a motion for Wednesday, August 17th at 7 o'clock.
I'll move to approve next month's regular meeting time as Wednesday, August 17th at 7 p.m. as presented.
I will second.
Collins,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poel,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Alrighty, and item F is approved required items for the Fine Arts Curriculum Department.
Yep, so anytime there's a singular purchase over 5,000, we bring it to the board. So the Fine Arts Department had a tuba and a set of xylophones for their recent resource purchases, and we wanted to bring those to you.
So out of curiosity, what does a tuba cost?
Tuba's around 10,000.
Oh my.
No. I think
It's
it
not
was like
10?
7.
Okay.
I don't
She's
remember
got like
for sure.
beautiful mind
Yeah.
numbers flying over there.
I'm not sure. I think it's 7, but I could be wrong.
I played the tuba, so my band instructor always told me that costs $10,000. Be careful with it. So maybe he was exaggerating.
Very well could be.
Alrighty. Would someone move?
I'll move to approve required items for the Fine Arts Curriculum Department as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Collins,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poel,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item G is approved the 22-23 foreign exchange student through Knuckle Open Door Exchange Student Organization.
We actually have 3 people, 2 from Italy and 1 from Norway
Holy
that would
cow.
like to be foreign exchange students at Cuba City High School. So
I thought there was only one student.
there was 1, and then we got a call for 2 more to see if we could. And because the way it was written, I said, "Yep, we can make it," because I didn't have the one person's name on there, just an approved foreign exchange student. So we've got 3 for this year.
So we need to change the motion to
Students.
make it plural. Okay. I will move, if there's no questions, to approve the 22-23 foreign exchange students through NASAL Open Door Exchange Student Organization as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Collins,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poel,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item H is approved the camera server replacement.
Yep, our server is reaching its end of life. We're using SR2 funds for this. What we found at the end of the school year, we have about, like let's say in the high school, we might have 25 cameras. And something would happen where somebody's like, "Hey, can you check this camera?" And at any given time, 22 of the 25 cameras were working. We checked the cameras. There's nothing wrong with the cameras. It's just the server was reaching its end of life. Now, our hope is that once they put the new server in, all the cameras still work with the new server. They believe they will be, but we are prepared that if it isn't, we may have to come back to you with some camera purchases. But right now, that's just to make sure that all our cameras can work. And that server has been here for about 8 years.
If there's no questions, when someone move.
I'll move to approve the camera server replacement as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Collins,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poel,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item I is approve the part-time middle school counselor Angela Belkin for the 22-23 school year.
Yep, before Ms. Adler and Mrs. Shep left, they applied for a mental health grant with the DPI and received it. It was about $18,000. And one of the items that they brought up based on the YRBS survey, that's a youth risk behavior survey, is they thought our middle school students could use some more social emotional support. So their recommendation was to try to find a way to do that. Angela Belkin lives in our community and is probably one of our most highly requested subs. So I reached out to her to see it, and she's a former guidance counselor, school counselor. Reached out to see if she would be interested in working for us every Monday and Wednesday during the school year, primarily with our 6th through 8th grade students. And what the teachers would be letting her know who she should be meeting with. They'll set up things, regular scheduled times, but also some kind of triage. This happened over the weekend. You might want to, can you set up a time to meet with these 6 kids and do some mediation? So that came out to about $13,000 of the $18,000. So it's 100% grant funded.
Are there any questions with regard to that recommendation? Based on my meeting Monday night at CISA 3 and the presentation that Jamie Nutter had from two professionals in Arizona and the state of Washington regarding school shootings. And that the majority of the school shootings are happening in the middle school, and they're 97% male students is what they found from researching all shootings, period. That I would say this is strongly recommended, because basically they said that your fix needs to come in part from the students, not just administration board. It actually needs to be a team that includes students. And that what students can do is, they say, if you see it, tell somebody, but they need to be told if you see what and how do you tell. So I will move to approve this part-time middle school counselor, Angela Belkin, for the 22-23 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We're on to personnel. Item A is approve the hiring of Max Cundy as the new high school teacher.
Yep, halftime science, halftime Spanish. He was our one applicant that we got. Science chairperson, Mrs. Stacy Ballback and Carolyn Timmerman were in the interview process with me, and we all recommend that we hire Max.
Would someone make that motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Max Cundy as new CCHS teacher as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve the hiring of Amelia Hook as the elementary school counselor.
Yep, we interviewed multiple counselors, and Amelia's last position was a social worker. And then when we interviewed her in Iowa, everything that she was doing as a social worker was basically things that we're doing as school counselors. So we were very excited that she had experience in almost everything that we're doing. So both Amelia and Angela interviewed very well, and we're excited to have both of them accept our openings as counselors.
Is there any certification, licensure, or anything that's required for this counselor position?
Yep, and she's going to be working with Brad Van Epps at CISA 3 to make sure that we hit all those things. And, we have our tuition reimbursement things for those classes, as well as $100 for any class that they want to take, but $200 if the administration recommends that you take that. So she would get that rate also.
Okay. All right, thank you. If there's no other questions, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Amelia Hook as elementary school counselor as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
And Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the hiring of Angela Davis as the middle and high school counselor.
Yep, and Angie would probably be here, but I believe she's at her own board meeting, that she's the president of the Benton School Board currently. So she's got a lot of experience being both middle and high school counselor, and we're very happy that Angie's agreed to come work with us here in Cuba City.
Would someone make that motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Angela Davis as middle and high school counselor as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E is approve the hiring of Ashley Surjak as the elementary physical education teacher.
Yep, Ashley's got many years of experience, and she's a Cuba City graduate, and Mr. Kraus and I both recommend that we approve this hire.
I will make that motion. I had her as a softball player. I think she's a fantastic kid. So anybody younger than me is a kid. So I will approve the hiring of Ashley Surjak as the CCES physical education teacher as presented.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
F, approve the hiring of Alexandria McLennan as the middle school math teacher.
So we had our intern program, and the goal of the intern program is when we have a hire, hopefully we can get some of those people who we've identified as really good interns to come back and work for us. Alex was a middle school intern this past year, and was thinking about working in another school, and Mr. Sander reached out and was able to get her back because she worked here and enjoyed working with our middle school students. And we are very excited to have a qualified person teaching our middle school math.
Yep, that is awesome. Thank you, Chris. Would someone move?
I'll move to approve hiring of Alexandria McClellan as CCMS math teacher as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Powell.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
G, approve the hiring of Amy Nelson as the middle school assistant cross-country coach.
Formerly Amy Demmer, so that's who we're talking about, but Amy has coached almost everything at the middle school. So we've got an opening at cross country. We think she'll do a wonderful job.
Would someone move?
I'll move to approve hiring of Amy Nelson as CCMS assistant cross-country coach as presented.
Okay.
I will second. Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Powell.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Committee reports, budget and finance. Heather provided, I guess, everything. Is there anything else?
Our next meeting will be either late August or early September.
Aaron, do we have anything going with Hazel Green for busing?
We're trying to find a date that works for them, and their dates did not work for us in July. So now we're working on August. Yep.
That's gonna come up pretty fast.
Yep. It may not be in August. It may have to be September, just based on when their available dates are to meet with us.
Building grounds, is there anything?
We'll probably meet again in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Communications review and strategic planning, I guess we kind of just did that.
Yep, we've been doing that with special board meetings.
Curriculum, instruction assessment,
We'll finish out in September and October. We have 2 curriculum teams that have to present us. So we'll finish out in September, October. We'll take off until the following September, and we'll start over with that cycle.
okay. Personnel,
Meeting next week. Actually,
August 3rd.
yeah, and that's actually not even a personnel. That's the collective bargaining.
Oh, right.
Yep.
so August 3rd. And what time is that one?
I believe it's 6:30, but I can double check. (5:30 to 6:30).
5:30?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. Policy, nothing probably.
He believes in September or October we'll have another review.
Okay.
And then technology and transportation, that's what Chuck just asked about. We will plan on a time to meet with the transportation committee at Southwestern. We just have not been able to find a date that works with them and us.
Okay. Foundation is once a year, so it'll be in March again. In my report as CISA 3, basically they had their annual meeting, so pretty much all of the school districts were represented of CISA 3. And that's where they presented the gun safety, I guess it was, the shooting. And this gentleman who was head of a SWAT team for 30 years, and the short story is he said he reported on 2 or 3 school shootings, and one of them was where they had spent $450,000 for school safety. There were 16 people killed, and as it turns out, none of their policies and practices were in place that day. Exterior doors were unlocked, interior doors were unlocked. There was no report of a school lockdown that was given to staff and students. The one teacher told all the kids to lay underneath their desks, and they were sitting targets. The short story was, he said, your biggest bang for your buck is a good PA system. He said, skip cameras. They will do nothing other than document your failures. And he said, so do drills. He said, but your drills, he said, where do most people do drills? They do them in the classroom. He said, my study of all 400 school shootings is 87% of them occur in the passing time where the kids are in the hallways. So if you want to truly get the biggest bang for your buck, consider doing a drill like that. He also challenged us as school board members to do an unannounced visit to the school during school hours. Visit and see if you can find an open door to get in. He also said that all your interior classroom doors should be locked during that school period, and locked from the inside of the classroom. And there should be discipline for every open door or situation, that's found. And that came from the Arizona superintendent, who's part of this, committee for school shootings for the nation. And he said, we're in our 7th year. He said, you don't get to where we're at overnight. But that was just some of the key things that it was like, basically, the things that you can do that might make the biggest impact. And he said, plus everybody, including those of you who are sitting in rural Wisconsin, thinks it won't happen. He said, but the school shootings are not occurring in Los Angeles and New York. They're basically happening in rural America. So.
What would make you feel better? Next Wednesday, we are meeting with our chief of police, and we're going to go through our wave system and make sure that all the classrooms and all the PA systems are working. That's our admin meeting next Wednesday, is to go through all the safety plans and things like that. So, and we had talked about some of those. Our principals will be making regular visits around the exterior of the building to try to find ways in that shouldn't be.
Well, when this guy, this former policeman, said that if I came to the school to do a tour, I should do it with you, to go outside and see what we find.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it starts.
Yep. So.
And at the elementary, it's pretty easy because there's only 5 exterior doors, and at the high school, I believe there's 30.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
So at any rate, that was very, very somber, but it basically, it was something that, if I didn't mention something, or if we didn't address what we're doing here, and we, heaven forbid, would have something, I would sleep for more than a night.
Mm-hmm.
So I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a
I
second?
got one thing,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
with Chris in his position, if anyone has an issue with me as a board member, let me know. We will consider stepping down if you don't want to, but, if there's any feedback, let me know.
And I've explained to Chuck the way the law works as far as what a conflict of interest is, and our policies are consistent with that, is that if Chuck was responsible for 50% of the financial burden of that household, like if Chris would have lived with him, or it's really for if it's your child or something, not if it's your son-in-law. So based on that language, it isn't. But I know Chuck wants to be aware of that, that we're trying to do everything right, and if there's a problem. But technically and legally, there isn't a conflict of interest. But Chuck's just aware that there might be a perception. Wants to make sure everybody knows that he'll try to do all the board things that he normally has done.
I'm not aware of anything, Chuck, so I would appreciate you staying on. We'll do one day at a time here. So.
That's what I'm doing right now.
That's right.
It's tomorrow.
Yep. So with that, I will move to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Heather.
Here's.